A proud moment for dozens of Union High School students who marched in the President's inaugural parade yesterday. The students are in Union's Air Force Junior ROTC program. They were the only junior unit in the country to be invited to participate in the parade and the only group representing Oklahoma. It is the second time that Union students took part in presidential inaugural activities. Only on 2 News, multimedia journalist Amy Slagnick from our Washington Bureau talked to the group about their historic trip.
A normal day for an Air Force Junior ROTC member at Union High School consists of training and going to class. But this year, 78 cadets from Tulsa had the opportunity of a lifetime to be a part of history. After raising nearly $40,000 and traveling for 24 hours on a bus, they marched in the inaugural parade after President Obama's swearing-in ceremony.
I'm very honored to do this and be here with my fellow cadets and represent Oklahoma and our school in this way. I think it's definitely something I'll remember for the rest of my life.
The 78 students and 10 chaperones spent Saturday and Sunday touring D.C.
We're going to be history, being in the inaugural parade for the president. Really looking forward to that.
We've worked awful hard to be able to have this opportunity to be able to celebrate the inauguration of a president, no matter who it is and no matter what political aspirations they may have. This is an honor for us.
Reporting in Washington, Amy Slanchik, 2 News, works for you.
OU Nightly's Amy Slanchik has the story.
Susan Baumgartner didn't find out until Friday that she would be one of the First Lady's guests at the State of the Union address. She had to keep it a secret until Monday afternoon.
It was awful because I was just bursting to tell. So, but you know, that's what we had to do, so that's what we did.
Last June, a major train collision took place in the Oklahoma Panhandle. Our own Amy Slanchik was in Washington yesterday for the hearing.
She's here with us now over Skype. Hey Amy, can you give us an update?
Hi guys, thanks for having me today. I'm excited to see you guys. Basically what happened was last summer, in June 24th, there was a major train accident, as you mentioned, between 2 Union Pacific trains, one going eastbound and one westbound on the same track. And what was supposed to happen was the westbound train was supposed to be able to move around after the eastbound train had stopped. But what we discovered yesterday at the National Transportation Safety Board meeting, investigative hearing, was that the eastbound train actually went through 3 traffic signals. They missed an early approach, an actual approach, and the final stop sign. They missed all 3. They were supposed to be slowing down and at one point actually sped up, and then finally applied the emergency brakes 8 seconds before the collision, and the westbound train applied their emergency brakes about 20 seconds before the collision. So there were 2 crew members on each train, and a total of 3 of them died. The only survivor was on the westbound train, and he jumped off the locomotive before the collision, and this caused a huge fire and about $15 million in damages.
The fight is over Red River water rights, and OU Nightly's Amy Slanchik is in Washington covering the story. Amy, can you tell us what this case is all about?
Hi Hillary, thanks. I'm here in Washington. Yes, tomorrow I'll be at the Supreme Court covering this case. It's all about Oklahoma and Texas, and we're all familiar with the term Red River rivalry, but this time it's not about football. It's all about water, as you mentioned. And this water that we're talking about is just in the southeastern corner of Oklahoma. It's a very small portion of the Red River, and where this whole case stemmed about, what it's coming from, is Texas and Oklahoma, Louisiana and Arkansas, these 4 states, wrote a compact that was approved by Congress back in 1980. And what it did was it says that no state is entitled to more than 25% of this section of water in southeastern Oklahoma. And Texas says that they're only getting 16% of the water, and Oklahoma says, no, you already have about 29% of the water. So what basically is going on is Texas wants to reach over to the Oklahoma side of the Red River to get what it thinks it needs to make up for that 25% of that water. So we have this argument all about Texas, can it reach over to Oklahoma to get the water? And Hillary, you know as well as everyone else over there at Gaylord that Oklahoma and Texas are facing a severe drought. There's no abundance of water in either state. This is a very serious time right now for both states. And this drought is comparable to the 1950s, and this case is going to be a big deal for the drought as well. And another thing is that the Choctaw and Chickasaw nations are just right in that same area in the southeastern portion of Oklahoma. They're in their own battles with the state of Oklahoma over who gets that water. But in this case, both of the nations will be supporting Oklahoma as well as several other states across the country.
Okay, and even though the case will be heard by the Supreme Court tomorrow, we know that there will not be a verdict until mid-June. What are some possible outcomes?
That's right. Tomorrow we're just going to go through the oral arguments. The Supreme Court justices are going to hear both sides, and they're not going to come out with an actual decision until June.
Welcome back to OU Nightly. We have Amy Slanchik reporting live in Washington on the line. Amy, what can you tell us about the arguments you heard in court today?
This Red River Compact is an agreement between 4 states, Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas. And the Red River Compact talks about each state having 25% of this water that's in a section of the Red River in the southeastern portion of the state. But the main heart of the arguments today with the lawyers and the justices was, is this 25% an entitlement, saying that each state is entitled to 25% regardless of state boundaries, or is it a cap, saying that no state should have more than 25%? So that was where a lot of the arguments were centered around, and that was the main heart of the case today. Kelsey?
Amy, did the justices give any indication of which way they're likely to rule on this?
Well, Kelsey, that's a great question. It's really hard to tell, especially when, we're listening to the lawyers on one side and the justices, and you think, wow, they've got it. And then you hear the other side and you think, wow, they've got it. And it's hard to tell. And as we've talked about before, they won't know until June. They won't release the decision. But one thing that I think is important to talk about is Ann O'Connell. She's an assistant to the U.S. Solicitor General. She talked about today that the compact overrules any state laws. So this is saying that the Red River Compact would overrule Oklahoma's statute saying that Texas can't come into Oklahoma. So that's a really important thing to say. And another thing, Chief Justice Roberts said today that each state has to quote, give up a little here or a little there to solve a problem. So that's one indication of how it could go. We're looking at the possibility of this going back to the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals. So that's a good indication of where this could go. Kelsey, back to you.